Welcome to my channel. My name is Gail Scott and I'm a galactic channeler, and I bring in messages from all different kinds of energies, whether they are masters or angels or groups, collectives, or even the land. And so today what I'm bringing to you is a message that I received from a group that call themselves the Spirits of the Land of the Northern Hemisphere. This is a group of energies that speak through the energy of planet Earth in the space where we are right now. And I'm located in Toronto in Ontario, Canada. And recently I tapped into this energy that came through very unexpectedly. And so I'm just going to give you a sense of who they are and why they're talking to me right now and why they're talking to me for you. The messages that come through me are generally for the whole of humanity. And in a sense, right now, these messages are directed at us who live in the North American continent. And so they've come through to tell me and to tell us that our land is changing. The earth plane on which we exist right now is getting, in a sense, an upgrade in its energetic field, in the structure or matter that actually makes up the land, and the cellular existence that is within all of our bodies, but is also, of course, in the landmass that we live on. And so what does this mean for us as humanity? They're telling me that messages are going to be coming through to us individually and collectively for those of us who are open to hearing it. So if this is something new for you, this is really about tapping into your own intuitive guidance. I call it your IK, your inner knowing. And just to recognize that you may be someone that is going to start feeling or sensing or hearing or noticing messages that are coming into you that are coming from the land on which you are living. And if you're open to hearing this, then these are going to be very useful messages for you to help you to move forward through the changes that are coming. Now, when you are intuitively guided, it is generally safe to say that your heart is quite open. And so these messages are coming through with an energy of love, which is coming through the heart. And they're saying to me that if you can view the earth plane, the physical matter on which you live, if you can view it with respect, appreciation, understanding that you are part of it, and allowing yourself to contribute to it in the way that it contributes to you in life, then the integration of the changes that are coming are going to be a little bit easier for you, because there are big changes that are coming to Mother Earth. And so far, some of these changes have been well hidden from us as the human species that roam around here on Earth. So they're saying these changes are going to be structural, meaning that what you know to be real, solid matter is going to change, and it's not going to be calm. Now, it's not that it's going to be sudden or explosive, say, for example, but it is going to be a major change for us. And what they're telling me is that for those of us who live at the edges of the ocean in this northern North American continent, in the Northern Hemisphere, they're recommending that we begin to consider moving back from the edges of the ocean. For they're telling me that the great waters will move over time. This is how they've explained it to me. They're not saying it's immediate. It's not that we're going to have this sudden tsunami and there'll be, a lot of drama and tragic circumstances. No, it's going to be a gradual one over the next decade, but that these waters are actually going to start shifting and moving over the land and towards the center of the country. And so the water will increase more and more. There'll be more water and less land. And that this hemisphere that we live on, this piece of land as the North American continent, it's going to shift and morph and centralize itself into more landmass where the mountains are. And that the mountains, especially on the west coast, are going to be the protection for us from these waters, and that anything beyond the mountains towards the center of the land will be protected from the waters. That will be our protection, in fact. But if you live closer to the ocean, you will run the risk of that landmass being removed and covered with water. Now, they have been very clear it's not going to be sudden. But it's going to happen where a lot of this land mass at the ocean level will be gone, basically. And they want you to understand this. They're giving us advance notice that these changes and shifts are coming, and that the water is going to, in a sense, reinstate itself. And I believe that this is probably a mass that, a mass of water that was there before, and it's going to come back, and that there will be less land and more water, but that'll be okay because there's actually going to be less people to inhabit this smaller amount of land. They haven't given me any more information on that. So don't ask me any questions about that because I have no idea what that means. But that these changes and shifts will happen over time, and that they'll be integrated onto the planet. It's not anything that we have to fear because it's a predestined experience. It's part of each individual soul's journey to be where they are, to listen for these intuitive messages, to be able to make your own decision about where you want to live and how you want to live and what the next part of your journey is going to be. And that, in a sense, the only way that you as a human can almost control the environment that you live in is to pay attention to these messages. And that when you have a great respect for the land that you live on, when you can heighten and elevate and integrate your love and respect for the land with the knowings and the messages that you're getting, connecting through your heart, connecting to what is your own inner wisdom, and knowing that this timeline is coming of a decade, that will help you in making the choices, because there are many things that are going to happen. And are you open and open to understanding that these messages are coming to you and that you will need to follow them? Otherwise, literally, you're not going to be around. And that's your choice. It's like the story of the man who believed that, God was going to help him. And there was the big flood that came, and there was a boat that came to take him, and a helicopter. And every time he said, no, God is going to save me. And then when he got to the pearly gates, he said, what happened? You didn't save me. And they said, what do you mean? We sent you a boat, we sent you a helicopter. So are you paying attention to your inner wisdom, your inner knowing, those intuitive messages that are your connection to the land and to spirit, to understand that you get to choose where you live, how you live, for how long you live there? And are you noticing when you are getting your own intuitive messages? Because sometimes we're not connected to the spirit. We're not connected to that consciousness that if we were, we would recognize it and we would say, oh, I'm hearing this message and I do need to pay attention, and I need to start taking action, even if that means it's going to make your life a little different. And if you ignore these messages, it's not dangerous. It's just your reality will change. So your reality, in a sense, is actually going to change anyway. It's whether or not you're a part of that. And so this spirits of the land consciousness that has come to me, it's really to help us understand how we, in a sense, can play a role around the shifts that are going to happen over the next 10 years. Are you connected to Mother Earth? Are you connected to the plants and the trees and the water? And are you being able to tap into the direction that is coming to you from this consciousness, and making your choices in where you live and how you live? It's not that there's a right or wrong answer. It's not that there's a better or worse situation. They're just suggesting that you become more aware of this intuitive knowing and tap into it and develop it more fully. And if that's something that you're interested in, this is the kind of work that I do with people, where I assist them in developing that intuitive knowing, so that you can connect more deeply, one with yourself, but also with Gaia, so that as the planet goes through its own transition, and reaches out to you and connects to you and talks to you, then you can have this kind of back and forth conversation, a relationship, a communication that is really going to be integral to how you move forward through these shifts that are coming. And so if you're open, if you're listening, if you're willing to take direction, if you're able to open your heart so that you can hear these messages, then it'll be very clear. It'll be very concise. It'll be very concrete. And that one way that you can help yourself to do this is actually to watch the animals on the planet, because they're already aware of the changes that are coming. They are already heart-centered and connected to Mother Earth. And so pay attention to them, watch what they're doing, and realize that they're also shifting and changing, because they live on this planet as well. And so we as humans are being given this kind of heads up notice, so that we can realize that we're being assisted in this journey. And so these shifts that are going to happen over the next 10 years, they are being brought to us in a very calm way. It won't be sudden or traumatic. It will be a nudge. It will be just a sign. It will be a sense of, okay, it's time for me to move in a different way now. And what's happening with this intuitive sense of awareness that you'll be building and growing and expanding within your heart is that it's moving you forward and into the light, and light that is being bombarded onto our planet, which is at this point in time changing your structural DNA. It's returning you to a completely different elemental state. It's changing you alchemically, structurally, cellularly, and it's also up leveling you in a way that is going to return you to your sovereignty, to being whole and having a real deep sense of connection with yourself and with one another. And when you are operating from that energy, that's when you can have a sense of happiness, a sense of peace, a sense of solace. And they're mentioning to me, it's not about life being tranquil and quiet, because that's not the energy that we want to live with on planet Earth. The energy of the earth is not always tranquil. It's a dynamic, fluid motion it's always fluctuating. There's always an ebb and flow within the energy, the consciousness of planet Earth. And because we're made of that and we move with that, we don't want it to always just be peace and calm and quiet. We like the fact that there's expansion and there's growth and there's action. And so realizing that, yes, you're probably going to hear these messages in that quiet moment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the energy you're going to live your life with all the time. And so this energy, the spirit of the land, is telling me they're acknowledging the contribution that we make towards their experience of consciousness. So this energy that's coming through me has its own consciousness level, and they're telling us that they're recognizing that they too are evolving and changing, even as they speak and bring this message to us. They're actually experiencing their own level of awareness and consciousness. which is different from ours as human beings. But there are people on our planet who are working with this consciousness to bring about changes to help us. And you know that from watching, different groups and leaders in our environment, that they're connected with the earth. They're connected with what is the best thing for the land and for the consciousness of Mother Earth. And so they're helping us to be able to move forward so that we can live in a more peaceful, loving, caring, and yet still dynamic and structural way within the confines of how we live on planet Earth. As she herself, her consciousness itself is upgrading continually, in order for us, the species that's living on her, to be able to live with more love and more heart. And yeah, it's challenging right now. It's challenging, but it's also very, very exciting. And so this message that's been brought to me now for you is, it's like a conversation. They've opened the conversation for us, and they're going to come back and speak to me again about how to recognize that we really are all one, not just us as human beings, but also the planet, the land, the water, and that every element on the planet has its own consciousness, and it all works together in harmony, and it works in harmony through the heart, which is helping us to move forward into this new dimension of consciousness, this 5D consciousness of love. And so what they're saying is, begin with yourself, begin with the people who are around you, love one another, come from that heart-centered harmonic place, and love the planet, because it's here with us enjoying this transition that we're going through, and that this harmony is going to continue to shift and morph and change into a new dynamic that will help us to be together in a new way that we've never, ever experienced on planet Earth before. So this is the message, the first message that's come through from the spirit of the land. And it's not to worry you, not to concern you, but just to make you aware that there are changes and shifts that are coming. And the more that you can be listening and paying attention and watching and really begin to notice what are the decisions that you need to make at this point to assist you. And maybe, where I live here in the city of Toronto, maybe that's not something that is uppermost in your consciousness around the waters on either side of our land, but recognizing that the consciousness of the land is here right now as well, where we are. And so the more we can connect with that and integrate with that and create harmony with that, the better our experience of life will be. So thank you very much for listening to this message. And there is more to come, I know. So please subscribe and share this message with anyone that you know that might be interested in that. And like this video if it's something that resonates with you. And thank you for listening. And once again, all of the links to my website and all the other channeling messages are in the details below. And until next time, thank you so much for listening.